Welcome to the fall edition of Central Avenue. I'm Carol Montgomery.
And I'm Don Jacks. We've got a lot to cover on this edition, including an update on the current budget shortfall, an overview of solid waste management in Colorado, and the latest news and information on resumption of plutonium operations.
We'll begin with our feature story, a look at Rocky Flats' emergency response capabilities.
A fire truck and an ambulance, flashing lights and siren, sure signs of an emergency somewhere. Emergencies can happen anytime, anywhere. They happen in your home, and they happen here at Rocky Flats. Rocky Flats is a unique industrial facility with special materials handled and stored here. Because of that unique status, there are special teams, procedures, and facilities that are always ready to respond to the unexpected, the unplanned, and the unwelcome. The Emergency Preparedness Department, the Fire Department, the Emergency Operations Center, the Occupational Health Department, and Plant Security provide response to plant site emergencies. The type of response they make depends upon the nature of the emergency and procedures established through the Department of Emergency Preparedness.
Our planning begins with various groups on plant site, both operations groups, safety groups, a group called Emergency Assessment Branch, and in the fire department that identify the hazards that are here on the plant site. They try to quantify what those hazards are by looking at the quantities and locations where we've got them stored and being used, and the potentials for an accident happening.
Emergencies at home often mean a trip to the emergency room at the local hospital. Rocky Flats operates a fully staffed health center, which acts as the on-site hospital. Managed by the Occupational Health Department, the clinic provides immediate care during medical emergencies and other important medical services on plant site.
People count on us to be here, and we are here. In an emergency, we shift from the low profile to the high profile, high impact organization. We operate from a posture of shared expertise, and there is a great deal of varied expertise in the department: critical care, emergency care, cardiac care, of course occupational medicine, family medicine, and internal medicine. We have assigned roles. Each one of our people know what they need to do and how to execute that role so that when we have to, everybody knows exactly what they need to do.
If you're involved in an emergency, you want help quickly. Every emergency needs immediate response. Here at Rocky Flats, some of the most highly qualified response teams in the state can be at the site of an emergency in seconds.
It takes us approximately 3 minutes to reach anywhere on plant site. And one of the advantages to Rocky Flats is that we're a 1 square mile facility. Even though we have a buffer area of about 8 square miles, 99% of the facilities and the employees are right here within 1 square mile.
We also have contractual agreements with Flight for Life helicopter service, so that when we need air transport services, it's available to us within a very short amount of time, approximately 7.5 minutes from departure to arrival at a receiving facility.
The police department or the security force here is right here constantly. Where at home, you may have to call the police. It would be, you know, you would have a delay time there depending how far away they were, how busy they were, other factors. Here, the security force is right here immediately and can respond upon need.
Nearly every major city has a SWAT team to handle tough situations. The Rocky Flats team is known as the SRT, or Special Response Team.
The SRT is equivalent to the major city SWAT teams, police department SWAT teams. They respond to unusual occurrences on the plant site, whether it be alarm responses, which is an everyday occurrence, or barricaded or hostage situations, or terrorist activity, and that's what they train for.
Major cities operate communication centers where leaders of different teams gather to apply their talents and resources during large-scale emergency situations. At Rocky Flats, we have the Emergency Operations Center located here in Building 115. The EOC provides a place for top management and support staff to come together and take the steps necessary to moderate the problems associated with an emergency.
What we like about the EOC here in Building 115 is it has all the resources we need, the communication devices, telephones, radios. The shift superintendent is located in this facility as well. It's close to our top management people. We have all the desk books, as we call them, and have all the information and checklists. So it's one center where we can come and find out what's going on in the plant site and be able to communicate to those who are doing response actions to mitigate any kind of an emergency.
The shift superintendent's post is also located in the EOC. The shift superintendent, on duty 24 hours a day, is the on-site coordinator for all emergencies and has the responsibility of activating the EOC team if necessary. As you can see, this is a complete electronic observation post of Rocky Flats.
Emergency preparedness very much is a safety issue. And I think if there's one phrase that we hear a lot that can probably summarize it all, is safety first.
I think that you would feel, actually on the plant site, you should feel safer than you do in your own home.
So I think this is a good place to be. We've got a lot of responding people who are knowledgeable, and we've got very, very good programs in place.
Being prepared for the unexpected is a vital activity. It's important both in the home and here at Rocky Flats. The emergency teams here strive to assure two things. One, high margins of safety, and two, quick, proficient responses in time of need. Together they mean a safe place to work and a safe place to live. For Central Avenue, I'm Linda Otto.
The news is next on Central Avenue.
Right after this timeout for traffic safety.
You know, hitting a windshield at 30 miles per hour is a lot like this.
I'd give you a 10, my friend, but you didn't keep your legs together.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
Arrive alive. Drive safely.
Rocky Flats is facing a major budget shortfall for fiscal year 1991. We asked Francis Alhoff, Assistant General Manager for Administration and Planning, what impact this will have on plant operations.
Clearly, we're going to see some selected movement of people from what we now have to define as our lower priority activities into our higher priority ones. Clearly, we're going to see a reduction in the number of consultants, a reduction in the number of subcontractors.
Resumption of plutonium operations continues to be a top priority at the plant. For a status report, we talked with Rocky Flats Acting General Manager Jim Zane.
Well, we're moving a little bit slower than I'd hoped. If you look at the schedules that we put together in September, I would say that we're about 30 days behind on the 559 schedule. We're probably within a week on the 707 schedule. And it's not too bad, but I wished it were going a little faster. There are many people today that seriously believe Rocky Flats will never start up, that we'll never fix the problems we have, and to the satisfaction of some of the oversight committees and to the satisfaction of the public. And some of the things you see at Savannah River and in consideration to moving some of the Los Alamos capability from prototype activity into production are backups in the event that we just can't get there. I believe we can get there.
One issue closely tied to resumption is the removal of plutonium from glove box ductwork. Here's a building-by-building status report on progress so far. In Building 559, all ducts currently meet resumption criteria. In Building 707, 2 ducts are complete, 13 need cleaning, and 2 are in progress. In Building 771, at least 4 ducts need cleaning. All measurements are not yet complete. Finally, in Building 777, 2 ducts need to be cleaned.
While much attention has been focused on resumption, Rocky Flats non-nuclear operations have quietly set production records. More than 41,000 non-nuclear components were produced at Rocky Flats last year, breaking a record set in 1984. Gene Eidecker is the Assistant General Manager for non-plutonium operations.
You got to start off by saying thank you, because that's That's where it all comes from. It don't come from me, and it don't come from the Tallmans and the Johnsons and those people. It comes from the guy that's pulling the levers on the machines, the guy that's running the Dynapacks at Oxnard, the guy that's welding the stuff, putting it together, testing it, inspecting it, and shipping it. Everybody's involved, and they should all take a pat on the back because they all deserve it.
In addition to the impressive production figure, it's also important to note that the delivery schedule for these components was met 99.8% of the time.
That's just about as good as you can get. Of course, everybody'd like to have 100%, but I have not heard any dissatisfaction from our customers and from the people who receive our product. I think everybody is very, very happy with the performance of non-nuclear production.
Much of the plant's non-nuclear production begins in California at Rocky Flats Oxnard facility. Roughly 90 employees work at the 14-acre complex. Jerry Elvey manages the Oxnard facility for EG&G.
Really, the sole purpose for the Oxnard facility's existence is to produce high-energy rate forgings for the Department of Energy and Weapons Complex.
High-energy rate forging is basically a high-tech version of the same process used for centuries by village blacksmiths. Metal, usually stainless steel, is first cut from bar stock to an appropriate size and then heated in a furnace. The red-hot part is then quickly removed, placed in a form, and shaped by the press using tremendous instantaneous pressure. A part may undergo several passes through the press before reaching its final shape. The high-energy rate forging process is exclusive to the Oxnard facility. It's the only site in the nation capable of producing these parts.
That's a unique technology, and there are some people here who have very unique skills in producing high-energy rate forging, particularly in the design aspect, the design of the tooling and the processes, but also on the floor in the manufacturing also.
We'll be back with more news after this quick look at Building 559.
Building 559 was built in 1968 as an analytical chemistry laboratory facility. The 33,000 square foot building houses the production support lab consisting of 3 separate areas: the plutonium chemistry lab, the plutonium spectroscopy lab, and the mass spectrometry lab. These labs define and test the purity of plutonium and other metals used on plant site. In addition, the mass spectrometry lab performs waste characterization, which includes the analysis of liquid waste and sludges produced on plant site in order to determine the proper storage and disposal techniques. The building mission is twofold. Number one, the provision of analytical chemistry support to engineering and manufacturing personnel by certifying the quality of materials received from vendors and the quality of products produced at Rocky Flats. And number two, to be of assistance in solving production and process problems.
In other news, Rocky Flats' dosimetry program is changing. Beginning January 1st, dosimeters will only be given to employees entering radiation areas, and dosimeters will stay on plant site. According to Rich Rennie, the changes are designed to enhance the dosimetry program and will not compromise employee safety.
Anyone that has the slightest potential of entering a controlled area for the purposes of radiation safety will be issued dosimetry. We're not trying to take dosimeters away from people that don't need them. We're trying to get them to the people that need them and then monitor them and utilize them as accurately as possible.
Keeping the dosimeters on site will allow for greater accuracy in measuring radiation exposure on the job.
Changes are also underway for the plant's salaried compensation program. These include establishing a common date for all salaried employees' performance reviews, establishing a common date for all salaried employees' merit increases, reducing the number of exempt salary grades to 10, and elimination of the matrix program for determining the dollar amount of an employee's merit increase.
Well, we want to make sure that this program provides management with the tool to be able to hire qualified people and that they pay their employees based on the competitive market and that it's fair and equitable. so that their employees really understand the pay programs and that they can reward them based on their performance and their job responsibilities.
Earlier this year, employees completed PIQ forms, which ask workers to evaluate their jobs in a number of areas. The completed forms are currently under review by the Job Evaluation Committee. Results of the survey will be announced to employees in March of next year.
Now, let's take a quick look at other issues in the news at Rocky Flats.
The super compactor is nearing completion in Building 776. The plant is working towards an operational test in December using non-radioactive waste. The super compactor is scheduled to be fully operational in March of 1991 and could reduce the volume of transuranic waste stored at the plant by as much as 50%. The Waste Isolation Pilot Plant received approval from the Environmental Protection Agency to store limited amounts of transuranic mixed wastes. The approval is for a test phase and will not exceed 1% of the site's total capacity. The EPA approval is the first in a series of steps that must be completed before WIPP can receive its first barrel of waste. The Rocky Flats Foundation raised more than $422,000 during its annual fundraising drive, exceeding their goal of $400,000. Donations are distributed to local nonprofit organizations and the United Way. Air pollution is a major concern in Colorado, especially during colder months. Employees are encouraged to minimize their personal auto use and carpool to work when possible. Do your part to reduce pollution and keep Colorado's air fresh and clean.
We'll be back with our perspective story after this review of discounts available from the employee store.
Check out these great discounts on local activities from the employee store. Discounts and coupons are available on a first-come, first-served basis, so don't delay. For more information, contact Mary Singer at 966-7483. Rocky Flats employees donated more than 400 units of blood for the Belle Bonfils Blood Center during a recent plant-wide campaign. The event was the largest of its kind in plant history and may actually be the largest blood drive that has ever occurred with Belle Bonfils.
This is overwhelming, that's all I can say. We have been drawing blood for about 3 hours now and have close to 200 units probably at this point. And this was really an effort on behalf of the coordinator, Dwayne Ziegler, and the support that we've had from Carol Barsh, who I've worked with also in the past. Joe Majestic was there for us to really help support this and make the endorsement that allowed us this opportunity. And certainly the people who are responding to it, we're really grateful for what the support we're seeing today.
Solid waste is a major challenge facing the nation, Colorado, and Rocky Flats. In our perspective story, we'll show you why.
If you're like most people, you probably don't spend a lot of time thinking about trash. And why should you? You throw it out, somebody picks it up, and they take it away. Out of sight, out of mind. But it's not that simple. The population is growing, and every year we're generating more and more trash. But where will we put it? This is a complex question facing state, federal, and local officials, private citizens, and industry. In Colorado, each of us generates 3 to 4 pounds of residential trash or solid waste each day. This is mostly paper products, yard wastes, and metals such as aluminum cans. Additionally, we generate another 3 to 4 pounds at work or while doing business in our communities. That adds up to 13 million tons of waste generated in Colorado each year. Most of this waste ends up in facilities like this, the BFI landfill near Golden, Colorado. 2,500 to 3,000 cubic yards of trash are brought here each day for disposal. Landfills certainly aren't pretty, but they are a fact of life. They represent one of the best existing solutions for dealing with large-scale solid waste disposal. We need them to properly dispose of solid waste generated by our society, and that need is not going away.
The
Majority of the disposal occurs at 141 municipal solid waste landfills that are located around the state. The majority of the trash is created and disposed of in the Front Range metropolitan areas, but there is no county and virtually no city that is not served by one small landfill somewhere in the state.
Rocky Flats is not unlike any small city of 6,000 people. And, like any small city, we create sanitary waste, roughly 100 cubic yards a day, or 40,000 cubic yards a year. This is composed of office trash, cafeteria wastes, and other non-hazardous sanitary wastes. Since 1968, Rocky Flats has maintained a sanitary landfill located on plant property to dispose of solid, non-hazardous wastes. The site is approaching capacity and will be closed within the next 2 years. Plans are currently underway to select and construct a new waste disposal site. 3 locations are currently under evaluation. All are located in the western portion of the plant's buffer zone. Selection of the new site will be based on a variety of criteria, including the site is approaching capacity considerations.
It ranges from considerations for surface water runoff, present groundwater quality, distances from airports for bird hazards to airplanes, wildfire considerations, air pollution considerations, and wind, noise, visual impacts. It covers a pretty broad spectrum.
The new landfill will meet or exceed all existing design criteria for modern landfills, including a double liner for leachate collection and a methane collection system. The site will also have 2 monitoring systems to protect the environment. One will check for leaks in the liner. The other will monitor the groundwater around the landfill to ensure no contamination problems develop. Once complete, all site information and design criteria will be incorporated into a permit application and submitted to Jefferson County for approval.
The Jefferson County Board of County Commissioners will be the one that actually grants the permit, and they'll consult with the Colorado Department of Health to make sure that our application is technically correct.
Once a permit is granted and the landfill is under operation, the site will be closely monitored to ensure it is operated within the regulations set forth in the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act. The Rocky Flats landfill will only receive sanitary wastes generated at the plant. Hazardous and radioactive wastes are closely monitored and kept separate from sanitary waste streams for obvious health and environmental reasons. Additionally, the plant would face severe penalties if hazardous or radioactive wastes were to be disposed of improperly.
It's extremely important that we don't put hazardous waste into our landfill, because if we do, we're subject to the stiff penalties from the hazardous waste law, such as up to $25,000 a day fines and even jail sentences.
Any discussion of solid waste management would be incomplete without considering the issue of recycling. Recycling is an important tool in minimizing waste and maximizing available landfill space. The plant's paper program has collected over 286 tons of waste paper, which saved 4,862 trees. Recycling is an important tool. But even an aggressive, successful program will only reduce our solid waste stream by 25% over the next 10 years. In Colorado, that leaves 9.75 million tons of solid waste that must be disposed of each year.
To say that we're going to recycle all of the waste streams in the near-term future is kind of simplistic. We must recycle, we must reuse, we must reduce. But we're going to need good quality facilities that are terminal disposal sites, either incinerators or landfills, to safeguard our health and environment for the next 10 to 50 years, depending on how fast we develop.
Solid waste management is a major issue facing our state in the 1990s. The need for effective and equitable solid waste management concerns residents of both rural and urban areas, as well as officials of government and industry. The new Rocky Flats landfill will ensure that sanitary wastes generated at the plant will be properly disposed of well into the next century. For Central Avenue, this is Tracy Smith.
That wraps up the fall edition of Central Avenue.
Feel free to share your copy with friends, neighbors, and associates, anyone with an interest in Rocky Flats.
You're welcome to show the program to professional organizations, clubs, and classrooms. If you have any questions about Central Avenue, contact Employee Communications at 966-7680.
And thanks for watching.
See you next time.